Hello everyone, my name is Meisam. In this video we are going to talk about JobScheduler in Android. JobScheduler is a relatively modern solution for handling background tasks in Android. It has been introduced in API level 21 and it has a lot of advantages comparing to AsyncTask and services. The difference between JobScheduler and other solutions for handling background tasks is that JobScheduler works upon the condition or situation rather than the time. It means that it will work upon situations like if you have a network connection. The other situation is that if your phone is charging or not. We will see other situations later on in the video, but for now let's move on. So by the end of this video, you are going to professionally work with job schedulers. Okay, let's create a new project and let's implement job scheduler in our project. I'm going to stay with empty activity. For the name of my project, I'm going to say sample job scheduler. I'm going to leave others as default, like package name, the save location, and the language. Let's quickly talk about this minimum API level. I said that job scheduler has been introduced since API level 21. If you take a look at that, it's Android Lollipop. You can set your minimum API level to 21 or higher, or alternatively, you can select a lower API level and later on in your project, you can check the build version at runtime. In here, I'm going to stay with API level 15 and later on at the runtime, we will check for API levels. Okay, let's create our project. In order to use Job Scheduler, you don't need to add any kind of external dependency, you can just use it. For that, first of all, I need to create another Java class in my package. Let's name this one sample job service. In this class, we need to extend the job service. Let's say extend job service. As you can see, we are getting some errors, and in order to overcome that, we need to implement some methods. By pressing Ctrl I, we can see the dialog for mandatory methods. Let's overwrite them. Also, we have another error in here. And if you hover over that, it says that this class requires API level 21. If you click on this job service or this error by pressing Alt plus Enter, you can add an annotation to the declaration of your class. Let's add that. As you can see, this requires API annotation specifies that we can only use this class if our build version is Lollipop or higher. Later on in our main activity or wherever we schedule our job, we need to check for the build version as well. Okay, let's jump to this Onstart Job method. First of all, I'm going to minimize my project pane. So this Onstart Job method is going to be the first method that will be called when we schedule or when we start our job. It's very important to know that this Onstart Job method will be executed in the main thread. So don't rely on that if you have a long-running task. For example, if you want to download something, you need to create another thread inside this Onstart Job method. The return type of this method is a Boolean. We will talk about that in a minute. As you can see in this method, we are receiving some inputs called job parameters. These are going to be the parameters that later on we will pass to our job. For example, we can pass some integers or strings. And the way to get those parameters is like this. You can create a bundle. Let's say bundle is equal to params.getTransientExtra. As you can see, this getTransientExtras method will return a bundle. This is going to work fine, but there is a better option in here, and that's a persistible bundle. Let's see that as well. Let's say persistible bundle is equal to parameters or params.getExtras. This time the return type of this getExtras method is a persistible bundle. The difference between a persistible bundle and a bundle is that a persistible bundle is never null. It means that no matter if you put anything in your bundle or if this getExtras method return anything, this persistible bundle is never null. So let's select that. After that, if we want to get a string, we can say string name is equal to bundle.getString. The values inside this persistible bundle are going to be saved as key value pairs. For example, later on I will pass a name to this bundle, and for the key I'm going to use name. This way we can get the strings saved inside our bundle. In here I'm not going to get any string, instead I'm going to pass a number to my bundle, and in here I'm going to get that. Let's say int number is equal to bundle dot get int. For the key, let's pass number. The reason that I'm passing a number to this bundle is that inside this method in here, I'm not going to download anything from internet, or for that matter, I'm not going to do any time-consuming task in here. Instead, I'm going to mimic a long-running operation. I'm going to count down from a specific number, for example 10, and between each number, I'm going to wait 1 second. And because this Onstart Job method will be executed on the main thread and we cannot block the main thread, we need to create another thread inside this method. And I'm going to do that inside an async task. Let's quickly create an async task down below this method. Let's say private class. Let's name it mimic async task. Let's say extend async task. For the parameters in here, for the input parameters, I'm going to say integer because I'm going to pass my number. For the progress parameters, once again, I'm going to say integer. I'm going to publish the progress of this async task. And for the result, let's say a string. I'm just going to show some message when the job is finished. Let's implement the doing background method. Once again, I'm pressing Ctrl+I in order to see that dialog. And first thing inside this doing background method, let's get our number. Or alternatively, we can create a for loop. Let's say for int I is equal to 0, I less than, let's say, integers with an index of 0. After that, let's say I++. Inside this for loop, first of all, I'm going to sleep the current thread. There are multiple ways to do that. The easiest one is by saying system clock dot sleep, and inside this sleep method I'm going to pass 1000 as milliseconds. After that I'm going to publish my progress. Let's say publish progress, and I'm going to publish I. Okay, let's quickly review what we are doing in here. First of all, we are getting this number from this bundle in which we have got that from this job parameters. Later on we will pass this number to this async task to this doing background method. For example, this number can be 10. We are creating a for loop in order to count down from 10 to, let's say, 0. For every iteration, first of all, we are sleeping the current thread, which is a worker thread, and after that we are publishing the value of that number. In this case, it's I. Later on, inside the onProgress update method, we will log some value depending on this I. Before we override that method, let's quickly return something as the result of this doing background method. I'm just going to return a message indicating that the job has been finished successfully. In this case, I'm going to say job finished. Okay, let's quickly override the onProgress update method. After the super statement, I'm going to log some value. In order to log that value, first of all, I'm going to add a log above in here by typing log t and pressing tab. We have a constant. And after that, down in here, I can say log d. Once again, by pressing tab, we have the log message. Let's say I was plus the value of I, in which has been passed to this onProgress update method as arguments. We can get that I by saying values with an index of 0. Let's also override the onPostExecute method. Down in here, let's say onPostExecute. After the super statement, once again, let's log some message. Let's say message plus the value of this s, which is basically this job finished text. Okay, that's all we need to do inside this mimic async task. We can minimize it and we can continue above in here. We have two options in here. We can create an instance of this mimic async task inside Onstart Job method, or alternatively we can create our instance above in here as a member variable. I'm going to define my async task as a member variable, and later on we will see why I'm doing this. Let's say private mimic async task. Let's name it mimic async task. After that, down in here inside the Onstart Job method, I can say mimic async task is equal to new mimic async task. And after that, I can say mimic async task dot execute, and I can pass my number to this execute method. As simple as that. Okay, now let's talk about the return type of this Onstart Job method. As you can see, the return type in here is a boolean, and right now we are returning false. If you return false in here, it means that your job has been finished successfully and you don't need to reschedule your job. Returning false is good in case you don't create a worker thread. But because in here we are creating a worker thread, we are not sure that if our job has been finished successfully or not. For that matter, we are going to return true in here. So the only difference in here is that if you are creating a worker thread, you need to return true. But in case you are not creating a worker thread, you can simply return false. That's all we need to do inside this Onstart Job method. Let's quickly jump to Onstop method. This Onstop Job method will be executed whenever the Android system kills your job and it do not finish successfully. For example, if your job requires network connection, if for any reason you lose the connection, this Onstop method will be called. In this case, I'm not going to do anything special in this Onstop Job method. I'm just going to log some value. Let's say log D, and after that, let's say job cancelled. Also, this Onstop Job method is a good place to free up the resources that you have been using. For example, if you take a look at the warning down in here at the declaration of our AsyncTask, you can see that it says memory leaks can occur. I'm not going to talk about memory leaks in here, but you need to know that that's a problem that can be caused by AsyncTask. The Onstop Job method is a good place to cancel your AsyncTask if it's not cancelled. For that reason, I have declared my AsyncTask as a member variable. Now I have access to it in both Onstart Job method and Onstop Job method. Inside the Onstop Job method, I can say if null is not equal to my AsyncTask. Then I can say if it's not cancelled. Let's say if mimic AsyncTask dot is cancelled is not true. Then let's cancel it. Let's say mimic AsyncTask dot cancel. We also need to pass true as the only parameter of this cancel method. We are almost done with our job service class. There is only one thing that we need to be careful about, and that's finishing your job when you are done with it. For example, in this case, the good place to finish our job is inside the onPostExecute method of this AsyncTask. In that case, we know that our job has been finished successfully, and we can declare that our job has been finished. And the way to do that is by calling jobFinished method. Let's say job finished. But as you can see, we need two parameters in here. The first one is job parameters, in which we can use the job parameters that we have got inside this Onstart Job method. And the second parameter is a boolean indicating if you want to reschedule your job or not. First of all, let's save these job parameters as member variables so that we could have access to it inside the onPostExecute method of our AsyncTask. Let's say private job parameters. Let's call it parameters. After that, first thing inside the Onstart Job method, I can say this dot parameters is equal to our params. After that, inside the onPostExecute method, now we can pass it to this job finished method. Let's say parameters. And for the second argument, as I said, it's a boolean indicating if you want to reschedule your job. You can pass whatever you want in here based on your need, but in here I'm going to pass true because I am going to reschedule my job. Okay, we are done with our job service class. We just need to take care of this last warning. It says that the service should be declared inside the manifest. Let's quickly declare it in our manifest file. Inside the application tag and outside of the activity tag, we can say service. As you can see, we are getting a suggestion. It's the name of our class. But that's not all we need to do in order to declare our job service. We also need to add a permission in here as well. And we can declare it like this. We can say Android, permission. And inside the double quotation, I can say Android.permission.bind job service. This is a constant that we need to add in order to declare our job scheduler or job service to be precise. Okay, that's all we need to do in order to create a job service. Now we can schedule our job from inside the main activity. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you to hit that like button if you haven't already, and also subscribe to my channel. I'm uploading new videos every day. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to schedule my job inside another method. Let's call this method initJobScheduler. Let's create that method down in here. Let's say private void initJobScheduler. First of all, I'm going to add a log above in here. Once again, let's say log t. And down in here, let's say log d. Let's say started. Inside this method, first of all, I'm going to check for my build version. If you remember at the beginning of this video, I said that you have two options. You can set the minimum API level of your application to 21 or higher, or alternatively, you can check for build version at the runtime. We are going to check the build version in here at the runtime. And the way to do that is like this. We can say if build.version dot, let's say SDK int is greater than or equal to, let's say build.version codes dot, let's say lollipop. If that's the case, it means that we are inside API level 21 or higher, and now we can schedule our job. In order to do that, first of all, we need to create few objects. First of those objects is a component name. Let's create that and we will talk about it. Let's say component name, this one down in here. Let's name it component name is equal to new component name. As the first argument, we need to pass our context because we are inside our activity and activities are context. We can pass this. For the second argument, we need to pass the name of our job service. We can say sample job service dot class. Basically, this component name object is going to save some information about our sample job service class. Nothing special in here. We just need to define that and later on we will pass it in order to create a job info object. The next object that we need to create is our persistible bundle. Let's quickly create that as well. Let's say persistible bundle. Let's name it bundle is equal to new persistible bundle. After that, let's put our number inside this bundle. Let's say bundle.putInt. As the key in here, I'm going to say number. Be careful that this key in here is exactly the key that you have passed inside your job service class. I'm talking about this one above in here. Inside the Onstart Job method, we have passed this key, and it should be exactly the key that we are going to pass inside our main activity. It's better to pass your keys as constants instead of hard coding them, but in here, for the sake of simplicity, I have passed them manually. Okay, let's move on. For the second argument, we need to pass the value in which I'm going to pass 10. Once again, this is the number that we are going to count down from. After this persistible bundle, we can create our job info object. And the way to do that is like this. We can say job info, this one, dot builder. Let's name it builder is equal to new job info dot builder. As you can see, for the arguments in here, first of all, we need a job ID. And after that, we need the component name that we have created. The job ID is a unique ID that you will specify your jobs with that. It's better to create constants for different jobs. Let's quickly create a constant above in here. Let's say private static final int. Let's name it download job key. Let's say it's 101. After that, we can pass it in here. Let's say download job key, and after that we need to pass our component name object. If we leave our builder object like this, it's going to work fine and we are going to successfully schedule our job. But we have a lot of flexibility and a lot of functionalities in here. Let's take a look at few of them. In here I'm going to say dot, and these are the conditions or situations that I was talking about at the beginning of this video. For example, if we want to schedule our job only if we have cellular connection, we can set this set required network type and we can pass cellular connection. Alternatively, if we want to schedule our job only if the device is charging, we can set that as well. As you can see, we have a lot of functionalities in here. Let's use few of them. For example, we can set some extras for our job info object. And by setting extras, we can pass our persistible bundle in here. This bundle will be passed as job parameters later on to this Onstart Job method. The other option that we have in here is set required network type. We can say job info dot. You can see we have few constants in here. Network type any. It means that schedule the job no matter what the type of connection is. We have cellular, we have unmetered. In previous versions of Android, we had metered. It was for cellular connection, but in recent versions, it has been deprecated because cellular connections can be unmetered as well. So you can use unmetered, cellular, any of these constants that you want. I'm going to use network type any in here as the type of my network. If you want your job to be scheduled even after the device reboot, you can set that in here as well by saying .set persisted, this one in here. You need to pass a boolean. If you pass true, it means that you do want to schedule your job after the device reboot. Alternatively, you can pass false. I'm going to pass true in here, but as you can see, we are getting a red warning in here, a big red warning. It says that for persisting your job after the device reboot, you need to add a permission in your manifest file. Let's quickly add that. I'm going to use the shortcuts in here by pressing Alt plus Enter on the error. You can see the first item is add permission, received boot completed. Let's add that and let's check our manifest file. As you can see, a new permission has been added above in here. Okay, let's move on. If you want to schedule your job periodically, you have that option in here as well. And that option will be set by setting set periodic. This item in here. You can see that we have two kind of set periodics. The first one is for API level 21 and higher, but the second one I believe is for API level 24 and higher. The difference between these two is that sometimes Android system might not find the proper resources to schedule your job. For example, if you use the first item in here and you pass some long value, for example, let's say 15 times 60 times 1000, this is the milliseconds for 15 minutes. It means that you want to schedule your job every 15 minutes. In some cases, Android system might not find the proper resources every 15 minutes. For those conditions, it's better to use the second set periodic method, which you have some interval. You tell the Android system that schedule my job between the interval of 15 to, let's say, 30 minutes. But in order to do that, first of all, we need to check for build version. Let's quickly do that. I'm going to finish creating my builder in here. After that, once again, I'm going to check for build version. Let's say if build.version, let's say stk_int is greater than equal to build.version codes I believe it's Android N or Nougat API level 24. If that's the case, let's say builder.set periodic. I'm going to use the first one. I'm going to schedule my job every 15 minutes. So let's say 15 times 60, we have 60 seconds per minute, times, let's say 1000 milliseconds per second. And for the second argument, I'm going to pass 30 minutes in milliseconds. Let's say 30 times 60 times 1000 milliseconds. As simple as that. But in case we are below Android N, we can say else builder.setPeriodic. This time we can pass only one argument, let's say 15 times 60 times 1000. Up until this point, we have set some conditions for our jobs to be scheduled. First of all, we have set some extras to our job. After that, we have set the network type to any network connection. After that, we have persisted our job after the device reboot. After that, we have set our job to be periodic within the 15 to 30 minutes intervals. We have a lot of other options as well. You can check them in here. For example, you can say builder dot. These are all the options available. Or alternatively, you can check the link that I will put at the description down below. These are the constants on our job info object. You can see that we can define some backup criteria or all of other constants available in here. Some of these constants have some description in which you can check them. I will put this link in the description down below this video. Okay, after you are done with your jobinfo.builder object, you can schedule your job. You can say JobScheduler, this one, let's say scheduler is equal to, we can't define it like new JobScheduler. Instead, first of all, we need to cast it to JobScheduler. And after that, we can say get system service. This is an activity method. Inside this method, we need to pass a constant in which I'm going to pass JobScheduler service. This method with this constant will return the JobScheduler. Now that we have the JobScheduler, we can say scheduler.schedule. For this schedule method, we just need to pass our job info object, in which we can get that by saying builder.build. As simple as that. To this point, we have successfully created and scheduled our jobs. It's time to test our application. I'm going to run my application on Pixel 2 API level 28. Let's quickly run that. Also, I'm going to open my logcat in order to see the log messages. As you can see, my Wi-Fi is connected, and inside the logcat, you can see that we are seeing the value of I every second. It seems like our job scheduler is working fine. Also, we are getting the job finished message. Let's run our application once again, and this time, let's disconnect our Wi-Fi connection. You can see that inside the logcat, our job is executing. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi. You can see that job has been cancelled. It seems like our job conditions are working fine. Right now, if I turn on my Wi-Fi, you will see that our job will be rescheduled because we have set the return type of Onstart Job method to true. You can see that without changing anything, our job is executing. Also, if we run our application once again, and during the executing of our job, if we turn off the Wi-Fi, once again we can see the job cancelled message. If we close our application and turn on the Wi-Fi, we should see that our job should be started again. You can see that without the application being open, our job has been scheduled successfully. This in here might not happen immediately. It will happen whenever Android system finds the proper resources. Okay, this was a quick introduction to job schedulers in Android. Job Scheduler is a powerful tool to handle your background tasks. Just before I finish off this video, I'm going to say that if you like this video, I have a full Android app development course on my website at meiCode.org. There are 60 plus hours of video tutorials exactly like this. Feel free to check that at meiCode.org. And also please hit that like button if you haven't already. It's going to help me a lot with YouTube algorithm. And also subscribe to my channel. I'm going to upload new videos every day. Okay, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.